This mild-mannered building was originally Building 20 at SGI. I know a couple of people who either worked in this building or at least had their new hire orientation here back in the mid-90s. Sometime after SGI became defunct, this building became one of the buildings at Google. It may even have been Google HQ, I'm not 100% sure. And sometime after Google outgrew it, it became the Computer History Museum, as it is now, which it hosts each year the annual Vintage Computer Festival West. Let's go inside and take a look at that festival. Starting at registration, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the entire festival space. This was actually recorded at the beginning of the second day, which had two advantages. One, there were a lot fewer people here getting in the way. And two, everyone actually had their booths completely set up and all of their demonstrations completely working. The first day of something like this is always just chaos and madness, so getting this on the second day was much better. I've done detailed videos of almost everything I enjoyed except that giant computer that I was just walking by. I missed actually recording that. That was totally on me. But all in all, there was... Oh, and these pets will come back later. Sorry, I distracted myself. Squirrel! All in all, there was so much really interesting stuff here that I don't think that I could have done a video where I got everything. It would have been 2.5 hours long, and I'm sure that there are people who would enjoy that, but it would have been so much work for me, both editing and just recording it at the time. And technically speaking, this was my vacation, so I was kind of trying to take it a little bit easy and have a good time. But it was definitely, kid in a candy shop, lots of neat toys. And there's a neat toy passing on the right, although you can't actually play with that toy. I will get to that later too. It's so tempting to talk about a bunch of the stuff as I stroll past it. But I'm going to resist. One of the other things that I didn't get video about was this setup here on the left, where they were doing live demonstrations of repairing circuit boards, and they had some pretty nice equipment, some really nice microscopes, and some good solder rework stations, and yeah, a bunch of very, very cool toys. So getting out of sort of the expo hall part of it, I'm going to approach here where some of the for sale stuff was. The first bit here is one of the libraries, and I don't remember which library it was, had a bunch of technical books and magazines. So many magazines. I think maybe every issue of Byte for sale. And then kind of coming up here towards the tail end is going to be the main consignment room. I didn't really get any footage inside there, but I'll cover that a little bit later. The first thing I saw in the whole expo hall was this computer built entirely using relays. Now, a relay will act a bit like a mechanical transistor. They're just a lot bigger and a lot louder, so they have a very satisfying click. Yeah, I think Sam from Look Mum No Computer would have absolutely loved this device. There were a lot of kit-based computers from the 70s. Most of them were either based on the Z80 or the 6800, like this beautiful collection. The gentleman who had this display actually built that computer himself back in the day. Here's some other pictures of it. So really, really nice display. I had a very good chat with him. In the for sale room, I saw that very familiar looking thing, except mine's in better condition. And this, which is an even more primitive version of it, it's just a 6800 computer in a cardboard box. I was really tempted to buy this. I didn't. Somebody else did, because the next time when I came through there, it was gone. I did buy that little 386 you could kind of see in the background there. Anyway, I thought that was neat. Some other kit-based computers, a little bit less primitive, as these have nice display outputs that were an original part of the kit. I don't remember what processor that was based on, or this one. which I thought was really interesting. I thought it odd that it has a big fan on it. Like, what? How did you need a fan back in the day? Still, interesting stuff. Building a better computer wasn't easy. And then this one I thought was interesting because it's 8080 based, and it's got a ZIF socket right out on the front of it for presumably dropping ROM chips into. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing. Now this kit, this guy actually built this computer when he was 14 in Poland. It was a cool setup. He had some games for it. The thing I love the most about it is that beautiful VFD. Oh, that is such an awesome display. I love it. And he had a live counter of his YouTube subscribers. It was connected up through his phone. I don't know if he ever actually got up to 250. Predictably, there were some Apple I computers at the show, including this busted Apple I in a beautiful case. At the time I recorded this, the current bid was $450 grand. No idea, and kind of don't want to know what the final price was. They also had this Tandy Model 100 that had been used by Bill Gates and had a handwritten note by him on the back. I have no idea what the bids ever were on that. And right down the way, this gentleman had another Apple I in a case. Has difficulty getting it through airport security, but this was a really, really cool setup because all the ports are like go through the case and are on the outside, and it's all working. It's a very, very cool setup. Chuck Hutchins had a nice display of maybe every model of PET. Funny thing about these people at the end, the basic program they were writing literally scrolls, "Look behind you." Possibly the coolest thing I saw at the whole show was this PET Pix display. Now, the PET is really only being used as the display. All the real work is happening elsewhere, but still really freaking cool. There was a really large display of 68K based Sun machines. I think every model may have been represented here. Not all of them working, and several of them the people were trying to get working, especially one of the much older machines. There's a couple Sparks there, older Sparks. Look at all those SIM sockets. Oh, so many. For lack of a better term, I have a little bit of a fetish for multiprocessor machines, and that B-Box and this collection of Daystar machines really hit the spot. The Daystar machines each have, I want to say, 4 PowerPC 604 processors. Might be 603. Somewhere in that general generation of PowerPC processors. These machines were equipped with, I want to say, Voodoo 2s. Here's a little bit better look at the inside of one of them. Look at all those DIMM slots. So much RAM capacity. Anyway, very cool machines with a huge amount of expandability. A lot of PCI slots hiding down there. Just very cool pieces of hardware that I don't think macOS really fully could take advantage of. Right across from all those PowerPCs was another display of Motorola RISC processors. These are Motorola 88,000s. The chip in the middle of each of those boards is the processor, and the other 2 chips are the cache chips. What kind of vintage computing event would be complete without at least some gaming? Here we have an autographed Pong board implemented all using TTL chips. I don't know if this counts as computing because there's no processor there. I don't know. I guess we can allow it this time. In addition, there was this cute little device, an actual, homemade coin-op machine for a game called Tacobot. There's the actual computer for it back there. So this was kind of a Dr. Mario-esque game that at this initial stage I really hadn't figured out quite what was going on. The idea is to drop the pieces to try to get as many complete tacos on your screen at once as possible. I think the goal was to get to 30 something. Anyway, periodically, you can see there's a little gap at the bottom. Periodically, a rat will come along and eat your bottom row of whatever. Rat ate my tacos! It was a fun game, but after playing it a while, I had to ask the guy sitting at the booth, listening to this music all day long, does it drive you insane? And he just looked at me and said, well, that's the point now, isn't it? Fair enough, fair enough. Then kind of around the way, there was a really fabulous collection of Japanese home computers across various vintages. Just a really great collection of machines that I wish I had space for. The X68000 especially, but there was quite a few really cool things in there. I had to cover this little oddity. I saw it sitting on the desk and I thought, that's a weird looking oh boy, it's a trackball too. I'm sure it works just awesomely as both. Let me know if you have any experience with this particular device. There was a healthy line to get into the consignment room, and they were having some technical difficulties with their checkout system, so there was just as much of a line to get out. So on the first day, I didn't take any video inside the room because I didn't want to be a jerk. But I did pick up some stuff that I'll cover later. On the second day, though, I did come across this interesting thing. Now, before maybe 2 years ago, I had never heard of Durango. But I came across something before, and maybe someday Adrian Black and I will actually do this video about this other thing that we've been talking about for years. But then I stumbled across this, which I didn't buy, but somebody else did, in the for sale room, and I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. It's just a terminal, but so far it's only the second piece of Durango branded equipment I've ever seen, and it was pretty rough and so much burn in. Last but certainly not least was at the end of the first day, Burger Becky gave a really, really good talk about how she ported Doom to the 3DO. The talk itself was great, and the question and answer session at the end was also outstanding. There was some great things in there about managing in tech that everyone should listen to. I'm not going to steal her thunder. The video is posted online. That's going to wrap this up. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And till next time, try to remember the good stuff.